Hi everybody, my name is Stephanie Kraft and my website is stephaniecraft.com. This video is an explanation of my energy healing, and a lot of times when people visit my website or call me, they're asking me about my healing modality, my energy healing, how I learned it, what it is, what I do. And so I figured I should probably just make a video to explain my energy healing that I do. And I'm going to go ahead and give my background and history leading up to how the energy healing manifested for me in this lifetime. So I come from a family of healers. My grandfather was a doctor, a medical doctor. My aunt is a chiropractor. My parents were both psychotherapists. My sister is a healer and physical therapist. And so it just, I guess you could say I come from a family of healers. I went to graduate school for something called Health Promotion Management. That was a Master's of Science. And so educationally, I did have a background, or I do have a background in the sciences, studied biochemistry, nutrition, exercise physiology, anatomy and physiology, and so on, counseling and business management. It was like a very comprehensive graduate program at American University in Washington, D.C. So after graduate school, I began working in corporate wellness, and I spent several years doing that work. But what was happening was that I felt myself soul searching. I knew that I was here to do something profound and very deep with people in terms of helping them. It was like I felt almost like tortured in my soul because I wasn't yet doing the work, but I knew I had to find it and do it. It was calling me very strongly. And I had not yet had my spiritual awakening. So I graduated from graduate school in 1993. Is that right? No, I don't even know. 1996, I think it was. Yeah, 1996. And so I was in my 20s still. And so, yeah, so then I went to work for corporate America, which, is not really me, but I had to start somewhere. And because I didn't know yet what I was really meant to be doing on this planet, this was my work in the world, and I was helping people. But anyway, I was soul searching, and I hadn't had a spiritual awakening yet. That actually happened to me in the year 2000. So leading up to then, in like 1999 and in early 2000, I was applying, or I was not applying yet, but I was ordering catalogs for PhD programs in psychoneuroimmunology. I thought I wanted to get a doctorate in psychoneuroimmunology, which is mind-body medicine. So I was really obsessed with mind-body medicine. It was like everything I could get my hands on to read about health, wellness, nutrition, and mind-body medicine, the immune system, as it relates to the person's psychology and thinking. And so I was also looking into naturopathic medical school. I was thinking about becoming a naturopath, and I was also thinking about becoming an acupuncturist. And actually, there was a key phone call that happened during this time of seeking. I actually called a former classmate from graduate school. We weren't actually even in the same class, but he was a year ahead of me, and I remembered that he had gone on to acupuncture school. So I called him and I said, tell me, about it. And I want to get a PhD in psychoneuroimmunology, but I want to hear about, acupuncture too. And he said, Stephanie, listen, if you get a PhD, you're going to be required to do research and writing, and you're not really going to be helping people in the way that I'm hearing you tell me that you want to help people. Because I wanted to help people very deeply, like profoundly, like personally, like in the deepest way possible. And he said, acupuncture is mind, body, spirit medicine. And at that point, I knew I was missing spirit, because I was not really, I didn't believe in anything yet. I was still a bit closed off, but I was beginning to start. I was just about to begin to have spiritual awakening it was in the year 2000, and I had this conversation with him early on in the year 2000. So it was just about to open up for me, but I didn't really know it, but I was on the precipice of it. So, what he said really sunk in. It made me like throw out the catalogs for PhD programs that I wasn't going to be in academia. He helped me realize where I really wanted to be, and I decided to go to acupuncture school. Then life happened. I quit my job. I went into some intensive classes that were anatomy and physiology again, which, because my graduate degree had been over 5 years, old, they wanted the prerequisite to be within 5 years of entering acupuncture school. So I was taking anatomy and physiology, and I got like over 100 in that class with extra credit. So I had a perfect score in that class. It was an intensive class, and I loved it so much. I loved biology, anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, just loved those subjects. But then my father was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and I dropped everything. When the class was over, I left where I was living, which was Denver, Colorado, and I came home to Washington, D.C. to take care of my father. And there's so much to talk about on my journey, but what would happen was I was very sick. I had already become ill when I was living in Denver. And that's a whole separate story, which I'm not really, getting into my own journey of healing, but it's intricately woven within my story of my own healing journey, and then being the healer. So I come home, I take care of my father, and I had, how was I exposed to Reiki? Oh, this is a really important part of my story. So we're going to rewind. In 1997, I was working in corporate wellness for the Mid-Atlantic region, Virginia, DC, Maryland, and I was at a health fair in Maryland one day in 1997, and this woman was at her, I was like, let me just take a break and walk around this health fair and see what other people are doing. So I was just walking around, and this woman had her chair and her table, and she was just standing there, and I was walking by, and she said, would you like to come over and have Reiki? And I said, I don't know, or I didn't say I didn't know what it was. I literally had no idea what it was. But I sat down in her chair. She stood behind me, and she put her hands on my shoulders like this. And I was just sitting there, and I felt heat that is not humanly possible heat coming out of her hands. So I was thinking, and it was like penetrating me, and it felt really good. And I thought to myself, I'm just going to look for the thermos. Like the thermos or the radiator where she heated up her hands before she touched me, to find out, where she was heating up her hands. So after she finished, it was just a couple minutes, I stood up and I looked, and I told her, there was literally just a table, no tablecloth, nothing was hiding anything, and a chair. And I said, I'm looking for the thermos or the radiator where you heated up your hands. She said to me, this is universal life force energy that's coming down through me and out my hands. And literally, she was speaking another language. I was just like, I hear the words you're saying, but I have no idea what you're talking about. But I remembered that moment, and I feel like what I did was I took Reiki and I put it in my back pocket for later, and I was saving it for later, and I kind of knew that. So I went on with my life, and in 2000, things started opening up for me. Fast forward to back home in DC, taking care of my father. My sister came. She had learned Reiki level 1, and my father, he was actually going for acupuncture once a week or something, a couple times a week, and I was taking him every appointment that he was going to, and we would go to acupuncture. She would put the needles in, and I was like, oh, I'm going to acupuncture school too, and then she would do Reiki on him the whole time while the needles were in. He loved it. And so when Jennifer, my sister, came to town to take care of my father too, she was living out of town, and so we were teaming up, to take care of our dad, and she would do Reiki on him every day. He would always ask for it. Can you please do Reiki on my feet? And he loved it, and he literally asked for it every day, and she would do it. And I was like, oh, because by then I knew I was going to learn it. Like, enough had happened, and I had already awoken, which I'm going to get into that too. But that part of the story is within that same year. And so I said, oh, I'm going to learn Reiki too. And so that was already, I already knew that before. It just, life was happening, and I was sick. My dad was sick. I was in school, moved across the country. All this stuff was going on. So then he died. He was, from diagnosis to death, he was 5 months. So it was kind of pretty fast. But meanwhile, I had been very ill, and I pretty much collapsed, literally collapsed into bed after he passed away, because I had my own illness that I was dealing with, that I had put on the back burner to care for him. So I was pretty much bedridden for 6 months. And then in 2001, when I could finally get up and out of bed and get function enough to go places and feel well enough to do this, I went for my Reiki training. And that was, I'm wondering what the order is. So anyway, in 2001, I got Reiki levels 1 and 2. But rewind just a little bit. So I remember I didn't believe in anything, but in 2000 I woke up spiritually. It was a massive, huge awakening, and I'll actually share that with you because it's part of the story. So when I was living in Denver, my dad had already been diagnosed with terminal cancer, and I was about to be, heading back, but my friend was like, you should have a session with my psychic. And I was like, you're a really smart person. Why are you wasting your money on something that's just a scam? It's fake. It's not real. Why would you do that? I just could not understand her. And she said, no, listen, Stephanie, I'm going to give you my tape. It was a cassette tape. This was in this was in early 2000 still. And I listened to her session with this psychic, and it was it blew my mind. It was unbelievable, because it was literally every detail about her, and I was pretty much sold. So I went ahead and had a session with this guy, and I was like, I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm testing you. I didn't believe in any of this. I don't even know if I do believe in any of this. So I'm brand new to this. So I'm not going to tell you anything, and you're just going to read me. And I was nice about it, and he knew where I was coming from. And he read me. I was sitting in his office in Denver, and he literally read my heart and my soul, my entire being, everything inside of me. It was so profound. I did not understand how another person could know about another person like that. What happened was this. That was a major point in my spiritual awakening, because I went home. It was as if everything had been blown wide open. I literally was closed before that. Nothing exists. I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in anything. Angels, Jesus, nothing. Just this earth. That's it. There's nothing else. So I went home that day, and that night, I don't think I slept at all. I was ecstatic. My energy was like exploding, and I was seeing the universe in my third eye. It was like opening. I mean, I had a massive opening, literally. Like, I'll just repeat again. I was ecstatic, and I was seeing the universe, and that lasted all night because it was a huge, massive opening. So that happened, and he did talk about my dad. He's like, how much do you want to know? And I was like, I want to know everything. I was very open to that. But anyway, that's a separate thing. So went home. That's when after that, I moved home and, took care of my dad and all that. And later, after he passed away a little bit, I had another session with him, but this time over the phone. Didn't tell him anything, nothing. And once again, he was like, you're grieving. And I didn't tell him my dad had died, nothing. And he said, your angels, or one of your angels, has a message for you. And here I am. I didn't believe in angels, but because everything this guy said was right, I was like, oh, well then maybe there are angels, because he's telling me there are, and has been right about every single thing he said. So I listened. He said, your angel has a message for you. It is, don't go back to school. Don't get any more degrees. What you end up doing is within you, and it's like you're remembering it. And I literally then was like, I'm not going to go to, not in that moment, but I let it process. I integrated that, and I was also still very, very sick. I mean, I was in bed, and I couldn't go to acupuncture school when I had planned on it anyway, physically. And so I did drop that, and I let that sink in. Like, what I do is within me. Okay, don't get any more degrees. I already had my Master's of Science, and so it was like, and then I knew I was going to be doing Reiki, so I guess it all kind of was fitting like puzzles together, pieces of the puzzle, and it felt okay to just I have to let the acupuncture school thing go anyway, health-wise, and so I'm still in bed, and I'm recuperating from I had severe adrenal fatigue, but there's a lot of stuff that went along with that was complicating my health severely. So anyway, once, like I said, got out of bed, functional again, somewhat. This took me years. I'll get to that story too, but years to fully recover. So it was 2001, went for Reiki, and I was like, good. I mean, during the first class, it was only a one-day class for level 1 and 2, and I was the only student, so it was just one-on-one with my teacher, and I did a session for her, and I felt things, and I told her, and I said, do you feel that, are you having a problem with this? And she's like, yes, oh my goodness, I'm really impressed. You felt it, you picked up on it. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. So, oh, by the way, really important part of my story. Let's go back to the first psychic reading that I had back in Denver in 2000 with the psychic. I love that guy. He was hilarious. Huge, like, I don't know, I'm not going to get into it, but like 6'6", like funny. It was just a great experience. So anyway, he said to me in my first session, he said to me, you are a healer. He said, you are a teacher and a healer. And that was when it was like, I know that. That's when I was already researching acupuncture school and goal planning, all that, working more deeply with people. So it really fit, like, oh yeah, I am a healer. He told me, and it felt true. It was true. So back to then 2001 Reiki class, then 2002 level 3 Reiki master class. And so, that was really interesting how that happened. The same day I called my teacher to get level 3 to sign up for that class. I also found an amazing treatment room to open up my healing practice. It was amazing how it all worked out. So I started practicing professionally Reiki then, and teaching, I think, probably 2002, 2003. So that's what was going on then. I was working on the side, doing my healing on the side. So I was kind of merging, mixing, professionally, doing certain work and building my healing practice on the side is what I should say. And I got married and I had a baby. Interesting thing that happened. So I was pregnant in 2004 and 2005, got married in 2003, and then a year after we got married, I got pregnant and was pregnant in 2004 and 5. He was born in June 2005. So that's a whole other story. I'll have to make another video about that. I had a miracle healing, but I'll give the short version in this video. Remember I told you I was sick and it took me years to heal? Well, I was still not doing great. I was still recovering. And the medical intuitive that I talked to before that told me, do not get pregnant. You're not going to be able to have a baby. You're going to have a miscarriage no matter what. Like, you cannot get pregnant. And then, I did, which was a miracle because there was no way that was possible. That's a whole other story. And so, but then I called him and I was like, you told me not to get pregnant. I'm pregnant and, I'm nervous. So he said, I can't really do the reading for you. It's so early in the pregnancy, but call me back in X number of weeks. So I did. And he said to me, Stephanie, your baby has brought in special spiritual healing and you are healed. You can stop taking your medication. I was taking a natural desiccated thyroid hormone. So not a synthetic, but to boost, because I was having the adrenal and thyroid issues. And most people when they're pregnant have to increase their thyroid medication. They have to increase it because they need more energy, more of that hormone to sustain pregnancy if they're low. Well, he said you can stop taking yours. And I did. I stopped taking my thyroid medication and I never took it again. That was in 2004. And I was healed. My baby, healed me. Or he said he brought in special spiritual energy. Who knows how it happened? But I was healed miraculously during my pregnancy. So, and then he was born in 2005. Okay, so the next big part of my story is 2006. Oh my gosh. In 2006, I had what people could call a walk-in experience. Walk-in. A walk-in is when, like mine was different, but one example of a walk-in would be the soul that inhabits the body is ready to check out, can't handle this life anymore, wants to leave, may want to commit suicide. This was not my story, but this is one example of a walk-in. And there's a decision made at the level of the soul that, look, this soul wants to leave. We need a replacement because this one has a mission. This life isn't over. This person shouldn't leave the earth plane at this time. So we're going to do a soul exchange. So the agreement is made. Usually what happens is like a really big accident or not always. Sometimes it's not as dramatic. But anyway, the one soul will leave the body and the other one will come in. There's always an integration period. So it's not like one leaves, then another one comes in. It's more like the one comes in, integrates, and then the other one can leave. In my case, my walk-in experience was not a soul exchange. It was a huge aspect of my soul that was not in the body yet, like my higher self or another aspect of my soul embodied in my body. And everything changed for me. What does that mean? I felt like I was walking around in this world. Like an alien. Like I felt like I was looking through new eyes, and I was like, these are all humans, and wow, I'm not. I mean, I don't know. It was really weird. But so it took a while for that to integrate, and that was the year. Whoa, sorry, I'm holding a pen, and it just the whole top of it popped out. So it's kind of funny. So that was the year I told my husband that I wanted a divorce. Everything just started changing. The books that I was reading, I was like, I don't even know how they entered my world, but just, I was reading books. I was devouring books like they were food, just like books and book reading. And I had all these new friends in the spiritual world. It was just a massive shift and opening. And what was happening then was this new energy was entering me, my healing energy. So I had over these years, I had different intuitives and healers tell me, they would say, you're going to be bringing in a new healing technology, or you're going to be bringing in a new healing modality. And in my mind, I would think, oh, well, maybe way later in my life, I'm going to create a healing method and then teach it, something that I would come up with from my mind. But that is not what they meant and not what happened. So this new energy was coming into me starting in 2006, and for years, especially starting in 2009, what would happen would be I'd be lying in my bed, waking up in the morning, and this energy would be like pulsing into my body, like that. And I would lay there, like just letting it and let it finish. And then I would get up, and it was happening every day. And then I had some reading, and she explained, you had this walk-in experience in 2006, your higher self embodied, or another aspect of your soul came in that hadn't been here before. You started receiving these downloads of this energy, and then I started massively feeling it for years, just downloading. And then one day I woke up, and I had when it's not a dream, but it's like a real spiritual experience. I had that at night, and what that one was I had been instructed in healing. So there was I was not in this plane of existence. I was like in another dimension or planet or realm of existence, and there were beings that were teaching me, and there was the silhouette of the human body, like a black silhouette of the human body, and points of light where I was supposed to like be doing healing, and they were instructing me. So I woke up that morning not remembering what they had been instructing me, which is okay, because it was like downloaded, I guess you could say, into me. But I remember I woke up realizing, I knew when I woke up I had been given a gift of healing. It had already started years prior, but I didn't consciously get it. But in waking up from that experience, I did that morning. I was like, oh, I've received this healing gift, and they were teaching me how to heal. And this is what they were talking about, all those people saying, you're bringing in a new healing technology. I realized then, I'm not creating a healing modality. I'm not mentally creating it. I'm embodying it, and it's coming through me. That's what they meant, which I didn't understand, but then I did understand it. So this was in 2009, yes, that I woke up with this, knowing that I had received the gift and had been instructed in healing. And what happened after that was that I, instead of doing Reiki, I decided to just let me just see what it would be like if I just put my hands on my clients and I don't turn on Reiki. I just let whatever this energy is flow through me. And what happened when I started to do that was that I could feel that the energy, the innate natural energy that was coming through me was like 100 times more powerful than Reiki. I could literally feel the massive difference. So I was like, well, I'm just going to stop doing Reiki and I'm just going to do my own thing, which I can't teach because that I know of. I don't know if I pass it on with Reiki attunements or whatever, but basically it just flows through me. So I did teach Reiki for 14 years. I'm not teaching Reiki anymore. I was just guided internally to stop teaching it. And so since, I don't know the year, maybe it was around 2009 that I stopped doing Reiki, or maybe it was earlier than that. But anyway, when I do my healing, energy healing with people, I do it from a distance or I do it in person, and I just let it flow through me. I don't turn anything on. I don't say anything. I just, well, the intention is there that the energy healing is starting, and it works. If you know the book Power versus Force by David Hawkins, this book, in the book, he describes levels of consciousness, and he developed a method to test consciousness levels, which he calls consciousness calibration. So he has a scale. You can even look it up on the internet, like consciousness calibrations scale, and read there. So this, a few years ago, somebody that I know, a friend of mine, went to somebody who does this testing for consciousness calibrations. It's not easy to test. You can't really do it on your own. You have to kind of be an expert. This man was an expert, somebody I'd never met in another state, and I didn't know she was doing this, but she asked him to test. It's like muscle testing. She asked him, what is the consciousness calibration of Stephanie Kraft's healing modality? And it tested way, way higher than Reiki. So Reiki had already been tested. It's on the scale, and mine came out like way higher and on the scale in terms of consciousness, like a higher vibration, a higher consciousness, and it came above unconditional love, which, how is anything above unconditional love? But my healing modality, my energy healing, calibrates above unconditional love. So don't ask me how that's possible. I don't even know how any of this is possible, but I do know that when I'm doing the healing, what happens is I can feel massive energy entering me, moving through my whole body, out my hands, and I feel it moving through my client. They feel it too. So it's heat, it's energy moving, sometimes even like a rocking feeling. That's the energy moving, and I'm not doing it. And then from a distance, people literally feel it from a distance. I have clients all around the world. We do it on Skype, FaceTime, the phone, and they can feel it. And because I'm an empathic healer, I can feel what they need. So I'm a medical intuitive, so what I do in that way is a lot of things like clairaudience, clairvoyance, empathic, so clairsentience, claircognizance. So all the clairs, I'm using them in my sessions. And so for the medical intuition, it's like I can go into the different situations or organs or illnesses or conditions in the body and come up and find out what the root cause is. It's always emotional, okay? Or a situation, an event, a trauma. And so I give information on that level and work to release it and heal it. And what else is there to say about this? So I think I covered everything. I don't do Reiki. I only do my own healing modality, which I call energy healing. I used to have a name for it. It's still on my website, but I'm going to probably go on there and take it down. I used to call it emergence energetics because it was literally like, you know, resurrecting a whole new you, because when we heal, we transform and we are moved and shifted into our highest selves. And so it's really amazing. I work directly with source. I do not work with guides or, you know, not that I'm aware of. So I open up directly to source energy, and we don't, you know, no, none of us really knows exactly what's coming through, because it's changing for every single person. And while I'm doing a session, I'll get this very distinct energy that comes in that I can feel either swirling or waving or, you know, different. I get the sensation, and then it goes to the person, and it's going there for a while, and then it'll shift, and then a new energy stream comes in, and it's doing a different thing, and I can feel it, and it's doing whatever. So like throughout one session, I'm getting like, they need this, they need this. I'm not understanding. I don't shift the energy myself. I'm a vehicle for it to flow through me, and it's shifting and changing and going wherever it's needed, doing whatever it's needed. It heals on every level, soul level, spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, etheric. Every level of your being is receiving healing when you do a healing session with me. So I do call myself a healer. A lot of people shy away from that and say, well, I'm a healing facilitator. It's not me, but I am participating in it. I've been a healer in multiple lifetimes. I'm a healer at the level of a soul. So I am a healer. That's what I am. It's who I am. It's what I do. It's what I offer. Yes, it's coming from a higher place through me, but I am the vehicle, and I'm a participant in it. I do consciously use my mind and energy to heal people as well. I focus, and I do create healing through my mind based on what they need, and I bring in color, a lot of things like that go through my mind to encourage healing. So I think that's it. My website is stephaniecraft.com, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. You can ask me anything, and I will answer. Okay, bye-bye.